Today, we're going to talk about Korean verb conjugation. Basically, Korean is quite different from English. In English, there is a base form of a verb and we conjugate it by changing its form. For example, the verb eat is both the base form and the present tense form. To turn it into the past tense, the verb itself changes. Eat becomes ate. And for the future tense, you usually add an auxiliary verb like will in front, as in will eat. But Korean works differently. Korean verbs don't change in the same way. In Korean, verbs consist of a stem, and to that stem, we attach da. However, the da part is not actually necessary when we conjugate. If the verb stem is like candy, then the da is just the wrapper. You don't eat the wrapper, right? You throw it away and just eat the candy. So the base form of a verb is stem plus da. For example, in the verb 가다, ga is the stem and da is added. Similarly, in 자다, 자 is the stem and da is attached. Also in Korean, adjectives can be conjugated just like verbs. For instance, in 좋다, 좋 is the stem and 다 is added. So in Korean, both verbs and adjectives can be conjugated by removing the 다 and changing the ending. As we mentioned earlier, English conjugation involves changing the base form or adding auxiliary verbs to express tense. For example, eat becomes ate, will eat, can eat, am eating, would have eaten, and so on. The verb changes and auxiliaries are added, but Korean is different. Earlier, I said the da is like a wrapper, which is useless. Actually, it's not completely useless because you need the wrapper to identify what kind of candy it is. So, in place of da, we can attach different verb endings called 어미 to express various tenses and meanings. Let's take the verb 먹다 as an example. 먹었다, 먹을 것이다, 먹을 수 있다, 먹었을 것이다. In all of these, the stem 먹 stays the same, but the ending changes to express different tenses or meanings. Here's another example. If you have watched any Korean dramas or movies, you've probably heard a lot of sentences ending with 요, like 안녕하세요 or 사랑해요. These words follow the same pattern. 안녕하세요 comes from the stem 안녕하다 and the ending 하세요. 사랑해요 is made up of the stem 사랑 and the ending 해요. So today we'll look at the most commonly used endings in Korean. 아요, 어요, 해요. It's not that difficult, so let's take it step by step. First, if the final vowel of the stem is 아 or 오, we use the ending 아요. For example, 가다 becomes 가요. 자다 becomes 자요. 만나다 becomes 만나요. When you look at these examples, you might notice something strange. If you add the ending 아요 to a verb, shouldn't it be 가아요 instead of 가요? And 만나요 should be 만나아요, right? The reason is that 아 in the ending is absorbed by the vowel 아 in the verb stem because both of them are vowels. If you try to pronounce 아 after 아, you can see that nothing really changes in pronunciation. Since the 아 in the ending is absorbed by the vowel in the verb stem, it just becomes 가요, not 가아요. So far, we've looked at stems that end in 아. Now, what about stems that end in 오? It works the same way as 아. The 아 in 아요 is absorbed into the vowel 오 in the stem. When 오 and 아 come together, they form the diphthong 와. Because if you try to pronounce O and A together, it just sounds naturally wa. So you have to combine the vowel of the stem and the vowel of the ending. That's why O plus A becomes wa in pronunciation. Second, if the final vowel is not a or o, you use the ending 어요. For example, 먹다 becomes 먹어요. And 맛있다 becomes 맛있어요. Lastly, if the verb ends in 하다, the ending becomes 해요. Let's see some examples. 공부하다 becomes 공부해요. 게임하다 becomes 게임해요. 사랑하다 becomes 사랑해요. So today, we learned about the basic Korean verb conjugation. In Korean, both the verb stem and the ending are important, and it's important to learn the various verb endings in Korean. In fact, there are over 400 different types of endings in the Korean language. By combining these, you can create various tenses and express different nuances. Now, let's practice. 자요, 말해요, 와요, 아파요, 요리해요, 마셔요. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment.